part of American history. Connect, honor, share at StoryCorpsConnect.org/AARP. A message from AARP, StoryCorps, and the Ad Council.
Ooh, I like when you press that one.
This is the Founders Federal High School Football Scoreboard on the Sports Talk Media Network. Coming up, scores and reports from across the state and analysis from David Shelton. The Scoreboard is brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. Now your host for the High School Scoreboard, Phil Kornblut.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome into the High School Football Scoreboard for week number 1 across the state of South Carolina as far as the way the High School League identifies its weeks. Last week was week 0. This is week 1, and we have got a lot of games. Despite all the cancellations around the state of South Carolina, there are plenty of games to talk about tonight all across the state of South Carolina. We're going to bring you those scores here in just a little bit. David Shelton will be along to provide some great analytical insights about the games tonight across the state. And as we did last week, we'll open up our phone lines for you, 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number for the Sports Talk Media Network. And you can give us a call if you've been to a ball game, want to talk about a game, want to talk about a player that stood out to you. And, of course, if you just want to call in a score, that works as well, 888-898-2525. Pat Daniel here with us at our studios in downtown Columbia, and it was a hot night for high school football in South Carolina. Hot and humid. We certainly hope everybody has made it or is making it through the night in good shape, and that includes the fans and the officials and the security and everybody else who has to be working out there late tonight. So we have a few scores that have already started to trickle in from around the state. So let's bring you up to date on the scores that are appearing as we open up the program tonight. Thomas Hayward Academy defeated Battery Creek tonight. Now 44-3, so that's a SCISA program knocking off a high school league program. And, we've got some very interesting matchups of teams because of all the cancellations. Teams were scrambling, right up until yesterday to find opponents. And so you're going to have a lot of crossover, and you're going to have a lot of impressive matchups, at least on paper, and big-name teams playing each other that otherwise weren't scheduled to play. And so Thomas Hayward gets a 44-3 win over Battery Creek. Marion beat Timmonsville tonight, 54-14. Marion looks good early in the season, once again after making it to a state championship game last season. Marion looking very good early on. Dorman bounces back from its loss last week and beats Boiling Springs 33-0. Remember, Dorman was handled by Clover last week. Cavaliers bounced back 33-0 over Boiling Springs. Malden has defeated Spartanburg 14-9. The Vikings dropped to 0-2. That's this Malden team has got a lot of talent. They got some major college football players, especially on the defensive side. You've got Lucas, who's going to go to Clemson. Jaden Lucas, the cornerback, for one, who's a big-time prospect, one of the top in the country at his position, and others on that team who are very good players. So nice win for Malden. Even though Spartan High is still rebuilding and regrouping under their relatively new coaching staff, and for Malden, a win over Spartanburg anytime is a big deal. So that's a big win for Malden. How about Richland Northeast? They won last week for the first time since 2018. Tonight, they open up their first ever home stadium. First time they've ever played a game on their own campus. This was not the team they were supposed to play originally. The original opponent was canceled out because of COVID. They ended up playing Andrew Jackson, and the Cavaliers beat Andrew Jackson 25-9. So Richland Northeast opens the season at 2-0. And what a great start for them. Philip Simmons, a 36-14 winner tonight over Waccamaw. Strom Thurmond has defeated Midland Valley. That final score, 44-12. Other finals, Seneca 59, Palmetto 14. Trinity Collegiate defeats Wilson Hall tonight, 40-27. Hilton Head Prep over Colleton Prep, 6-0. 96 knocks off Ware Shoals, 48-6. How about this one? AC Flora and Sumter. This was another game that was thrown together this week because of COVID cancellations. AC Flora coming off its first ever state championship last season. Sumter being Sumter, always a power. The Falcons shut out the Gamecocks 13-0 tonight. That's a very interesting result there. So AC Flora showing you once again that it's a very, very good football team and apparently has an excellent defense. 13-0, AC Flora defeats Sumter. Richard Wynn over Conway Christian, 54-18. Bamberg Earhart has shut out Bluffton, 27-0. West Florence playing the first game in its new on-campus stadium, 35-14 over Sherrod tonight. PD Academy, a winner over McBee, 42-16. Pinewood Prep over Academic Magnet, 43-7. Greenwood in the intra-city battle up there in Greenwood with the rival Emerald, and Greenwood proving to be the stronger tonight, 35-7. That final score. Hammond Academy, no trouble tonight with Ben Lippin. That final score, 58-7. And Carolina Academy, a winner over Northwood Academy, final score of 41-8. Now, as far as the cancellations go around the state tonight, these are the games that were planned and were canceled. I count 40 cancellations off the schedule. Now, some of these teams, a couple of things. Some of these teams you'll hear twice because they had a game canceled, scheduled somebody else, and that got canceled, and they still scheduled another game, and they're playing. But here was the original schedule for games canceled tonight. Wilson at AC Flora, Brooklyn Casey at Airport, Latta at Andrew Jackson, Colleton County at Ashley Ridge, Blackville Hilda at Barnwell, Whale Branch at Bethune-Bowman, Greer at Blue Ridge, Myrtle Beach at Carolina Forest, Green Sea Floyd's at Carver's Bay, Marlboro County at Sherrod, York at Clover, West Florence at Clover, St. James at Conway, Calhoun County at Cross, Timmonsville at Darlington, Myrtle Beach at Dillon, Irmo at Dutch Fork, Berkeley at Fort Dorchester, Union County at Gaffney, Batesburg Leesville at Gilbert, Lee Central at Hemingway, Hannah-Pamplico at Hemingway, Carver's Bay at Johnsonville, East Clarendon at Lake City, Kingstree at Lakeview, Marion at Lamar, Indian Land at Northwestern. Lakewood was supposed to be that opening opponent for Richland Northeast. That game was canceled. Sumter at Socastee, Lexington and South Aiken, Rock Hill, South Point, Travelers Rest and Southside Christian, Bishop England and Stall, Westside and Somerville, Dreer and Swansea. Also scheduled to be played tonight and canceled. Wren at TL Hanna. Sorry about that. Wren at TL Hanna. Greenville at Wade Hampton. Blythewood at Westwood. Silver Bluff at Wilson Elko. And Stratford at Woodland. So there you go with the rundown of games that were not played tonight. Excuse me. All right, let's see if we have any other more games in progress that we can pass along to you. Williamsburg Academy leading Robert E. Lee 41-14, third quarter. In the third quarter, Camden, which was a loser last week, Camden up big on its rival, Lugoff Elgin, 35-0. Gilbert with a 27-7 lead on Aiken. That was last reported in the second quarter. Spring Valley leading River Bluff 33-10. That's in the fourth quarter. Blythewood, a game that was put together this week. Blythewood leading Goose Creek 22-7. That's in the fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, Ridgeview 29, North Augusta 7. Gray Collegiate leading its sister school, Oceanside Collegiate, 33-14 in the fourth quarter. Gray Collegiate looking very strong again. In the fourth quarter, Abbeville is leading Newberry 28-6. Halftime score, Great Falls was on top of Eau Claire, 24-22. Wagner Sally was leading Louisville, second quarter score 8-7. Cardinal Newman make that First Baptist. First Baptist was leading Cardinal Newman 29-25 in the fourth quarter. Halftime score was Lower Richland 17, White Knoll nothing. In the first quarter, way back, no update on this game, but Saluda had a 30-0 lead on Ridge Spring Monetta. Faith Christian at the half was leading Kings. That's the Kings Academy, 42-0. Also, Chapin on top of Mid Carolina, 29-13. That was a second quarter score. Lawrence Manning over Heathwood Hall, 22-9 in the fourth quarter. Kane Bay has defeated Orangeburg Wilkinson tonight, 42-14. And let's see if we have anything else for you. Richard Wynn over Conway Christian, 54-18. Okay, that's it for all the scores we have in at the moment. We've had a lot of scores in already. We'll continue to update things in just a moment and come back with some more scores. Also, if you've been to a ball game and want to tell us about it, 888-898-2525 is the number. We'll be catching up with David Shelton shortly. Maybe hook up with some coaches tonight. We'll get reports from others around the state. Drop in some facts and figures for you as well. Here on the High School Scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
Relax on and off the field with Founders Federal Credit Union. With services like Founders Online and the Founders app, you'll enjoy all the perks of a big bank with local personalized service. If you're looking for low rates, look to Founders. Not a member? Joining Founders Federal Credit Union is easy. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 office locations to see if you qualify for membership. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
If you're going to kick off the playoffs, why not do it big?
Green flag is up.
Like Crown Jewel event big. Like 2 races for the price of 1 big. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series and NASCAR Cup Series. 2 races, 1 epic Sunday. The playoffs begin at Darlington with the 72nd running of the Southern 500, September 4th through the 5th. Adult tickets start at $50, with kids starting at just $10. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com. South Carolina is just right.
One weekend, 2 football games, unlimited mayonnaise. Get ready for the Duke's Mayo Classic doubleheader this Labor Day weekend. Georgia battles Clemson in one of the most anticipated Week 1 college football matchups of all time. And East Carolina takes on Appalachian State, where in-state bragging rights are on the line. 2 can't-miss games at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. Learn more about tickets and other events, including performances by Ingrid Andrews and Warwick McZee at DukesMayoClassic.com.
All right, back we are on the High School Football Scoreboard here on this Friday night. Flo Kornblut, Pat Daniel from our studios in downtown Columbia. Let's catch you up on some more of the high school scores that have come in. We'll go back over some of the final scores that we have and update some of the other scores that are in progress tonight. A lot of good games around the state. Again, despite the 40 cancellations throughout the week, it's about what it ended up being, about 40 cancellations. Still had some very good games, some games that were thrown together at the last minutes, and some of the games that had already been previously scheduled. So we had some good games tonight to talk about on the scoreboard, including, and some of these we may have already mentioned, but we'll go over them again. First Baptist defeating Cardinal Newman tonight, 48-25. That one's gone final. Florence Christian beat Dillon Christian 39-12. It's now final. Fort Dorchester cranked up its offense, blowing out Carolina Forest 58-26. North Charleston has defeated Military Magnet 42-6. St. Andrews defeats Bethesda 27-20. Columbia High gets a 2-point win over Pelion 26-24. It was Gray Collegiate knocking off Oceanside Collegiate in Columbia 33-22. Gray Collegiate is now 2-0 on the young season after having a great year last year. Ooh, South Florence takes it to Manning tonight. Final score of 65-0. The Bruins big. That quarterback is pretty good. Headed to Virginia. Probably had a big night throwing the football. 65-0 Bruins over Monarchs. Christchurch beat Landrum tonight, 36-14. Porter Gaud over Burke, 46-22. Marion down Timmonsville, 54-14. Dorman over Boiling Springs, 33-0. It was Thomas Hayward, 44. Battery Creek 3. Malden knocks off Spartanburg tonight, 14-9. That final score. Richland Northeast goes to 2-0, defeating Andrew Jackson tonight, 25-9. Philip Simmons, a 36-14 winner tonight over Waccamaw. Continue to go over these final scores for you. For those of you just tuning in, Strom Thurmond over Midland Valley, 44-12. Seneca, 59. Palmetto, 14. Trinity Collegiate, 40. Wilson Hall, 27. Hilton Head Prep, 6. Colleton Prep, nothing. Also tonight, AC Flora, a winner over Sumter, 13-0. Some people might be surprised by that. Probably shouldn't be. AC Flora is still really, really good after winning a championship last year. Sumter suffered a good deal of personnel losses, a lot of personnel losses off of last year's team, though they do have a good defense returning. And I'm sure the Sumter people are surprised that they did not score. Hopefully we'll get a report on that game a little bit later on. Richard win over Conway Christian, 54-18. Bamberg Earhart beat Bluffton, 27-0. West Florence over Cheraw, 35-14. Running back from West Florence was having a heck of a game tonight. We'll get some details on that. PD over McBee, 42-16. Pinewood Prep, 43. Academic Magnet, 7. Greenwood, 35. Emerald, 7. Hammond, 58. Ben Limpin, 7. Carolina Academy, 41. Northwood Academy, 8. All right, that's where we stand at this point. Lawrence Manning defeats Heathwood Hall tonight. And that final score was 22-9. So if you've been to a game, if you're a reporter listening to us or you're a fan listening to us, you've been to a game, want to give us a score we haven't mentioned or give us some details on a ball game, phone number to call is 888-898-2525, South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to reach us here on the High School Football Scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. So, is this a fan or a reporter? A reporter. Jason. Jason? We have no last name for Jason.
Jason, and if I heard him correctly, I believe is Somerville. Were they playing Gaffney tonight?
They were indeed.
Yeah, so we have Jason reporting from the game down at Somerville between them.
No, it was actually up in Gaffney.
My apologies.
Yes,
Up at Gaffney.
All right. Hey, Jason, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing fine, Phil. Up here in Gaffney at the Somerville-Gaffney football game. And this one, it kind of showed, I'd heard that Somerville hadn't really played the kind of games that Gaffney's played in the preseason as far as jamborees. And they've actually played a full game last week against Spartanburg. And the week before that, they played a full game against, I want to say, a team out of North Carolina. But at any rate, Somerville, you could tell, has not been playing as much as Gaffney and a lot of the teams here in the upstate have been playing, because that game, and they've got the athletes that started off back and forth.
Let me interrupt you 1 second, Jason. What was the score of the game?
Well, it's not over yet. Ironically,
they're
it's
still
not over
playing.
yet.
Okay.
They had a serious injury go on here in the third quarter. But it started off, Gaffney scored first and made it 7-0 with a run by the running back getting into the end zone. Somerville came right back, went down, and showed a lot of grit, to get into the end zone and tie it up at 7. They go both teams go 3 and out a couple of times, and Gaffney gets the ball just before the half and puts up another touchdown, and we stood at 14-7. Now coming back out in the third quarter, something strange. Coach for Somerville, Ian Rafferty, Somerville on the 23, its own 23, or I believe it was the 23-yard line of its own. Fourth down, 4th and 2, and they go for it, which surprised me because it was just 14-7, and they get stopped, and I just couldn't understand that. Now, Somerville's defense held Gaffney, so no harm, no foul, but that was just a strange call to me, and but it gave Gaffney a little more momentum, and Gaffney ends up scoring a touchdown after the next series. But that series after that, with about a little over 4 minutes left, Somerville had a wide receiver, Kamari Hare. He's a sophomore. He went up for a pass, and when he came down kind of awkward on his neck. And it was very serious. And, they had to call the ambulance onto the field. A lot of the players are sad. Coach Gaffney wanted he was signaling for somebody not to do any kind of reporting or anything like that, because this player was in a lot of pain. He could move his hands and his legs, so he just didn't have the strength to squeeze. And so,
well, that's good news. That's always the thing you look for.
Right.
That is always the thing you look for.
Right. He was taken to the hospital. This game was held up for about 40 minutes, I think. It's resumed again, and Gaffney scored again just before I left, and that made it 35-7. Somerville had the football, but like I said, they're going to need a couple of games to get their feet under them for this season. They got the athletes. They look good defensively. They kind of tried to hold up, but when you're on the field, majority of the night, it's hard. Their offense is way behind the defense, and they've got a lot to work on there. But that's where it stood when I left 35-7 Gaffney.
We thank you for that so much. Really, really appreciate it. And, boy, Gaffney looks good, don't they?
Well, they got a good running game, a very, very decent quarterback. They're not very big, but they're fast on defense. Now, they beat Spartanburg High School last week with a lot of that speed. And if I had to gauge, it's hard to gauge them right now. They're decent. I don't think that they would stand a chance against a powerhouse like Dutch Fork or Fort Dorchester or somebody like that. But they've got decent talent, and they're going to make a lot of noise up here in the upstate.
Well, thank you for the report. Thank you for calling in, and please keep in touch. Let us hear from you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. All right. Appreciate that. So I think Jason was a fan listening to us, and that's what we're looking for. We appreciate that. We love the fans' view, the fans' eye on the game. If you've been to a ball game, want to talk about a game, talk about a player. Sorry to hear about the issue with the injured player, but from what Jason said, it certainly sounds like the good news is the young man was moving his arms and his legs. Not to sit here and try and conjecture or diagnose from 100+ miles away, but if he came down on his neck or something like that, you just kind of hope that maybe it's a bad bruise, and the fact that he was able to move his extremities, a very good sign, and it'll have a happy ending. We don't need any more bad news this week after what happened with Dutch Fork and what's been going on with all the COVID. We don't need any more bad news in high school football this early in the season. So thank you for that report. That was fantastic. We appreciate it. We'll continue with more, give you more scores, and get more reports coming up here on the scoreboard. We're going to hook up with David Shelton here in a little bit as well. I'm sure he's busy wrapping up his game coverage stories down in the Low Country. All right, we're back on the high school scoreboard in a moment.
What makes a rainbow bend? Where does the universe end? To know the world from A to Z. Discover science and technology. Where is the dinosaur? What's on the ocean floor? To know the world from A to Z. Astronomy, biology, chemistry, zoology, science and technology. It's fun, you see. Why is the sun so warm? What makes a winter storm? And what's a quadruped? Why is the planet Mars red? You'll find there's lots to know. Exploring as you go. To know the world from A to Z. Discover science and technology. Astronomy, biology, chemistry, zoology, science and technology. It's fun, you'll see.
A public service message from the National Science Foundation.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The U.S. military says it used a drone strike to kill a member of the Islamic State group's Afghanistan affiliate on Saturday. The strike came amid what the White House calls indication that IS is planning to strike again as the U.S.-led evacuation from Kabul airport moved into its final days. President Biden has set Tuesday at his deadline for completing the exit. Mr. Biden authorized the drone strike, and it was ordered by Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, according to a defense official. The airstrike was launched from beyond Afghanistan less than 48 hours after the devastating Kabul attack that killed 13 Americans and scores of Afghans, with just days left in a final U.S. withdrawal after 20 years of war. On Wall Street, the Dow by 242 points, the Nasdaq rose 183. This is SRN News.
You ever notice there's a lot of foundation repair companies in the Midlands? Well, I asked my guys at TerraTech about this. Seems like 80% of the homes end up with foundation issues in the Midlands. It's just the soil around here. So how do you pick the right foundation company if you think you're having an issue? I always start by thinking local. I mean, think local always. Your home is your biggest financial investment. You want someone who's been here a while and isn't going anywhere for a while, and that's TerraTech. They're family-owned, they're AAA approved by the Better Business Bureau, and they are 100% local. They use the highest quality products, and they stand behind their work. And I'm not into scare tactics, no way. But goodness, this is your home. I mean, it's your castle. Walk around it. Take a look. If you see cracks in the foundation, just call TerraTech. They'll come out for free. No cost, no obligation. They'll tell you honestly if you have a problem or not. You can trust TerraTech to repair your home. You know I wouldn't say it if I didn't mean it. Online, it's TerraTechInc.com or call them 791-8888. That's 791-8888 or online at TerraTechInc.com.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
Oil drilling investments involve a high degree of risk and are only suitable for SEC-accredited investors. Attention high net worth investors. Oil and gas investments have always been an ideal tax advantage and have been a way to invest and take a 100% write-off. The new administration is threatening to take this away. Take advantage now before it's too late. Invest in domestic oil drilling for a full tax credit this year. When you invest in oil, you get a 100% tax write-off. The pent-up demand from the pandemic has created the perfect storm for oil prices to soar. Support domestic U.S. oil and natural gas drilling and make your patriotic investment to get a complete 100% tax deduction write-off. If you are liquid for a $100,000 investment, call Encore Energy at 800-287-6691. That's 800-287-6691. 800-287-6691. That's 800-287-6691.
Is that crack in your windshield or your house bothering you?
Have you been meaning to have it replaced but just can't find the time?
Call Absolute Glass, voted Lexington's best glass shop for 12 years in a row.
We repair and replace glass on all makes and models.
We're the only local high-end auto glass specialist in the Midlands, and we'll come to you to make the process quick and easy.
With new technologies and vehicles, we can recalibrate your vehicle back to new.
Visit AbsoluteGlassInc.com to learn more about our auto, home, and business glass services. Just remember, if you can see through it, we can do it.
All right, welcome back, everybody. It's the High School Football Scoreboard brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union, South Carolina's only, longest running and only statewide high school football scoreboard show. We care about every school, every score in the state, okay? We're as excited about a score on a, let's say, cross versus military magnet as we are would be for, Gaffney, Spartanburg. We care about them all. Lower Richland beat White Knoll 30-7. It's gone final 35-7. Gaffney beat Somerville. You heard the information from Jason a little while ago. Augusta Christian over Richmond Academy 20-18. Holly Hill Academy 62. Lawrence Academy Zippo. Riverside beat J.O. Man tonight 14-7. Blacksburg over Green Sea Floyd's 22-14. Blythewood has beaten Goose Creek 22-7. Lakeview over Scotts Branch 28-12. Spring Valley 33-10 over River Bluff. Estill 36, Denmark Oler 20. Wando 25, James Island 9. Catawba Ridge 35, Nation Ford 14. Edisto 43, Hunter Connor Tyler 6. And Abbeville beats Newberry 35-6. I think we've hit all the scores at this point. So let's go back to our guys out in the field tonight doing the heavy lifting, doing the heavy work. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. David Shelton is now with us. We bring on the star of the show, David Shelton, Best in Business, High School Sports Report, and the Post and Courier. How are you, sir?
Man, I'm hot. I'm wet, sweat. I got cramps. I feel like one of the players. I feel like I just played a football game. It was brutally hot tonight. I don't know how that. I think the wet bulb was broke because, man, at kickoff it was brutal. But Wando won the game 24-9. They beat James Island. Not a pretty game by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of turnovers, a lot of penalties. Had safeties on both sides where the bad snaps and all. Typical first game, but Wando came out the better of the two, so they're 1-0.
Yes. What do you like about this Wando team from your early look?
They had to play a quarterback that was the backup. Their first string guy, John Hodo, tore his ACL early in the week, so they were going with a backup. And on the third play of the game, he threw a 60-yard bomb for a touchdown, and that kind of settled him down. He didn't play great, but he didn't make any major mistakes. They got a running back named Des Loring, number 4. He caught the 60-yard touchdown pass and had about 80 yards rushing. Really good football player. They got a pretty good defense. James Island was very predictable on offense, not much of a passing game. And Wando just loaded up the box and shut down the run game. But, Wando, it was a good win for them. I don't think they beat a team that's going to be a major state title contender, but when you get the first game and you get the win on the first time out, it's always a good thing.
You heard anything else around the Low Country tonight as you were following things?
I know Fort Dorchester was up pretty big. I think it was 49-14 on Carolina Forest. Philip Simmons beat Waccamaw. I can't remember the score, but I know they beat him because I saw an email. But not a lot of. Wasn't a lot of the action. A lot of the better teams were on the road tonight. Somerville and Gaffney, Blythewood hosted. Goose Creek went to Blythewood. Oceanside went to Gray, and I see Oceanside lost to Gray 33-22. So Oceanside, started in the top 5, and they're 0-2 to start the season.
Yeah, but Gray is 2-0. Sister school, they're doing very well. Low Country not faring well. Oceanside loses. Somerville loses big to Gaffney, 35-7. You mentioned Fort D over Carolina Forest, 58-26. And Goose Creek lost to Blythewood tonight. As you mentioned, here in the Midlands, that final score is 22-7. So your boys repping the Low Country not showing up real well.
Yeah, I kind of worried about Goose Creek playing this game. They didn't play last week. They have four offensive linemen starters that are out with quarantine, so they kind of went up there shorthanded on the offensive line and was playing some guys on defense that moved them to offense and things like that. It obviously affected their offense, but credit Blythewood. That's 2-0 start, two wins in a week. They won Monday night against Fairfield Central, so Blythewood's off to a good start. That's a good win for them. I think Goose Creek will be a team, that we'll be talking about in November, so that's a good win.
All right, a team that bounced back tonight, David, was Dorman after losing to a Clover last week. So the Cavaliers got it together tonight and came away with a victory over Boiling Springs, and the defense really stood out. Bob Corlew joining us from up in the Spartanburg area, Spartanburg-Woodruff, with the story of tonight's Dorman victory over Boiling Springs. Good evening, Bob.
Good evening, Phil, and thank you so much. Yes, it was Dorman 33 and Boiling Springs nothing. And yes, Dorman really made a quick 180 after losing to Clover last week 20-7. Last week, it just seemed as though Dorman had the first game jitters and really just could not get it together. But tonight, it was a totally different picture. One interesting fact about this game, Phil, Dorman actually has 3 quarterbacks that are pretty good, and any of the 3 really could be starters. All 3 played substantial parts of the game, and all 3 were quarterbacking at times when Dorman scored. So we can credit Talley and Bomar and Kilborn, all 3, for gaining touchdowns for the Cavaliers. One big player that just did a fabulous job was Rogers, Tyson Rogers, pass receiver, and he caught passes to score 3 touchdowns. I think he caught passes from all 3 of the quarterbacks. I know he caught from 2 of the 3 quarterbacks. One was a 51-yard pass play, which scored actually the first touchdown. Another good point for the Cavaliers, the field goal kicker, Gibson. He hit a 40-yarder that just sailed really high. Probably would have been good if it had gone for 55 yards even. He kicked 2 field goals. Now, on the other side, he did miss a couple of field goals, had the distance, but shanked them, and just still the field goals went wide. He also missed 1 extra point, the first extra point, and I think you can just attribute that probably to the jitters. Bomar is one of the 3 quarterbacks, one of those who is great on his feet, a good rusher. His very first play when he first came into the game toward the end of the first quarter, he gained 40 yards just on a quarterback keeper. So it was just a game that all the way around went Dorman's way. This was the first game for Boiling Springs. They had a bye week last week, so opening game for Boiling Springs. And to be very fair, Phil, they may have had a little of those opening game jitters, which Dorman did not have. But great game for Dorman. Good opportunity for them to get back on their feet and gain some confidence, because they go down to Charleston to play Fort Dorchester next week on September 3rd. So that'll be a real test, I think, for the Cavaliers.
Absolutely. Bob, thank you so much. Great stuff. We appreciate you. Have yourself a great weekend.
Thanks. You too, Phil. Good to talk to you. Thanks again.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bob Corlew, WQUL-FM, our affiliate up in Spartanburg, Woodruff. And so David Dorman bounces back after that disappointing loss to Clover, really threw some strong defense out there. You heard him say running 3 quarterbacks out there. They say if you have 2 quarterbacks, you have none. What if you have 3?
Well, I think they all do different things pretty well. And you heard the name Bomar. He's a runner. I mean, he's a guy that can get it and go. But Hudson Talley kind of began the year and is probably going to be, if you had to say, I would guess he's the number 1. But you have guys that can play and produce. You play them. And, you know, I know a lot of people were stunned that Dorman lost a game last week.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, it was a pretty good Clover team. And I got a feeling Dorman's going to be pretty good. Their offensive line is really big and powerful. They got 2 Division I prospects that are juniors on that line on the left side. And they'll get a good test next week coming on the road, playing Fort. Fort's a really good team. I mean, that's a rematch of the 15 or 16 state championship game. So that'll be a big game for both teams next week.
All right, very good. We'll get more reports coming up here on the high school football scoreboard in just a moment, and more from David Shelton as well. As we go to break, I'll tell you that Broome beat Chesney in a shootout, 48-41. Camden over Lugoff Elgin, big, 50-0. Great Falls, 38. Eau Claire, 30. That's the final score. Beaufort Academy, 42. St. John's Christian, 33. And Clinton beats Lawrence, 21-19. High school scoreboard. Back in a moment. Hi, this is Phil Kornblut, and for me, high school football Friday nights in the Palmetto State are electric. And I want to know how all the teams in the state are doing. For that, I turn to scfootballstats.com. I've used scfootballstats.com for years as a resource, so I have all the scores and schedules right at my fingertips. And so can you. Never hunt for scores, standings, or rankings again. scfootballstats.com delivers weekly updates right to your inbox. Everything from your favorite teams, including Skeeza, all in one place. Fan subscriptions are just $25 for a full season of access. Head over to scfootballstats.com right now for a free trial. That's scfootballstats.com.
Save like a pro with Founders Federal Credit Union. Founders Loyalty Select account gives you the opportunity to grow your savings at our best rate yet. Fund your account through your favorite Loyalty Select product to get savings today. Not a member yet? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 office locations to see if you qualify for membership. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
I learned that people are just looking for somebody to listen to them. You can't just start cutting somebody's hair and you're going to be quiet the whole time because you're not going to be in business long.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has provided over $800 million to help students attend technical colleges across our state, investing in a new generation of entrepreneurs, just like James. Your passion is our purpose.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbins.com.
In Irmo, call me, Alex Satterfield, at 803-749-9171.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Good to have you with us on this hot and humid Friday nights in the Palmetto States. Football is also very hot around the state. David Shelton is with us. Pat Daniel is here as well. If you've been to a ball game, as many of you have, you want to share a thought or comment about what you've seen, 888-898-2525 is our phone number. Let's keep it here in Columbia. Welcome in from the state newspaper, thestate.com, their prep editor who's won more awards than he cares to count. Lou Bezjak is joining us, though I'm sure a little bit down over the way his Steelers played tonight. Are you a Browns fan? Wait a minute. You're a Browns fan, aren't you?
No, I'm not a Browns fan.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're a Steelers fan. Okay. I had it right the first time. So you're down over that. you got handled by the Panthers tonight. Shame on you.
Yeah, well, shame on them for starting their third string quarterback. And just get those 2 weeks and get ready for the opener against Buffalo, which is going to be a tall task for sure.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt. So you have some insight on that win tonight by AC Flora over Sumter.
Yeah, it was a total defensive effort by Flora, man. They were pretty dominant. I think they forced 4 turnovers, 4 or 5. They had 3 interceptions. Defense is really strong. Micah Settles, who transferred from Dreer, really helping that defensive line, and their secondary is really solid with Crawfee and Tyler Robinson and those guys. And Markel Townsend, I think, is gonna make a name for himself running the ball, and he had 2 touchdowns tonight. The offense wasn't sharp at times, but their defense really made up for it. That's a good win over Sumter.
No question.
Yeah, and considering, I mean, they were in quarantine to begin in the preseason. They basically had 2 quarters of a jamboree against Lower Richland and didn't play last week. So really hadn't played a lot against other competition. So that's a good way to start the season for sure.
Oh, no question. And I mean, listen, they won a state championship last year. They deserved it. They were outstanding. Of course, they suffered their personnel losses, and people might have been thinking, okay, that was great. You know, what can the Falcons do for me this year? Well, I think they made a little bit of a statement tonight. I mean, Sumter is Sumter, and I know they lost some people too, but they're still a very good football team, and to shut them out like that, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's a very good statement. Florida lost their whole defensive line, which is really good. I think all of them went on to college in some form, and they had the 2 other good running backs. So it was good. Good way to start out, and a good statement. See if they can build on it. Their non-region schedule is pretty tough, and so that's a good way to start out.
Actually, a pretty interesting night around the Midlands with Blythewood beating Goose Creek 22-7. Nice win there, and Abbeville coming in and taking care of Newberry big 35-6. I don't think that's any great surprise. But Richland Northeast wins its first game in its new on-campus facility. They're 2-0, showing renewed life. And Spring Valley handled River Bluff 33-10, and Ridgeview over North Augusta 29-14. What'd you think of some of those results around the Midlands tonight?
Yeah, that's great for R&E with the Walt Wilson comes in, and you got the new stadium, and they 2-0 start. I think it's the first time since 2012. So that's a great job he's got going on right now. And I was a little surprised by that Spring Valley game. I know both of them. I thought it was a pretty even match coming in the second half. Spring Valley really dominated. That's a good road win, and now they're 2-0. Blythewood 2-0. So very impressive. In Abbeville, they were able to turn the game. It was 20-6 early in the fourth quarter, and then Newberry had or Abbeville returned the ensuing kickoff for a touchdown, and that kind of took the momentum. But yeah, Spring Valley. Spring and Ridgeview 2-0. They got something next week in Dorman in a few weeks. So I think Ridgeview has a chance to be really special in 5A in the Upper State.
Last thing, we'll let you go. The tragedy this week at Dutch Fork. What have you been hearing from the program the latter part of this week, and how they are handling this, and how they will refocus, regroup, and try and get back at it next week?
Yeah, they had a memorial there tonight for Jack. Had a good crowd, good attendance. We had one of our reporters there. He was able to talk to Jack's mom, talk to Coach Knott's wife. Coach Knott's wasn't there, but she read a statement from him. And I think they shut down things. They haven't practiced since Wednesday. I think they rejoin each other on Sunday, and we'll get ready to go to Burns next week. And it's just a sad thing. And just these kids, I know they're heartbroken, and the family, and I know they're going to rally around him and the rest of the year. Like, they didn't have enough motivation going for 6 in a row, but I think this will help them even more. And just hopefully the family, prayers out to them still, and maybe we'll get some clarity what happened. The coroner maybe in a couple weeks as far as an autopsy report, but not too much else has been said that way. But just praying for the team and the family, and hopefully they can get through these. It's going to be tough these next few weeks. And his mom's really strong, and she talked to our guy that was there tonight, and She's very, very strong, and she's been very vocal, and she loves her son, and I know she's going to be behind the program for the rest of the year.
Yeah. All right, Lou. Thank you very much, my friend. We appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Talk to you next week.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate
Thank you
it.
so much. Yeah, Lou Bezjak from the state newspaper does a fantastic job. Let's keep it out in the fields right now. We got a lot of folks starting to join in and line up with us. Let's see. David, I think we have a hot call. We go to Billy Baker. Billy Baker is over at Williamsburg Academy tonight. Let's see what he's got for us. Billy, what's going on?
Hey, Phil and David. I want to give a shout out to our website tonight, hssr.com. We have the top 75 juniors just released, and it's a good 15 deep group. A lot of talented kids. You can go to hssr.com and get that absolutely free tonight. And I'm with the coach that's been around for 38 years. He's won 9 state titles in Skeeza. I snuck by and saw his team in May. They were awfully quick. Tonight, they beat Lee Academy, the team that played for the Class A state title last year. Big score tonight, 55-21. The key element is he puts a sophomore quarterback, Conrad Balder, in the game tonight. The kid responds 10 of 13, 222 yards and 3 touchdown passes. Great arm, and scored 1 rushing. On defense, a prospect, Teague Ward, a sophomore, had 10 tackles, and he is an outstanding player. I'm going to go ahead and give you Don Shelley, a man that's won 8 or 9 state titles. I personally think in the end, for all your Skeeza people, it's going to be Hilton Head Christian and Williamsburg Academy Stallions. That's my call from right here. He puts 55 points on the board. Last year, these two teams played. It was 20-13, much improvement. I give you Don Shelley, 38-year coaching veteran, live from the field here in King Street.
Thank you. Thank you, Billy.
Hey, man, how you doing?
Coach, good evening. Billy doesn't put too much pressure on you, does he?
Billy's getting old and senile.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all?
Mm-hmm.
Well, congratulations tonight, though. That's a heck of a win. 55 points on the board, giving up just 21. You had to, I'm sure, love the overall performance of your team.
Yeah, so we came out, we had no turnovers, and that's a key. Robert E. Lee, they run the old Wigan T, so it gives you a lot of problems, and they want to grind it out, but we kind of got the lead, and that was the difference in the ball game.
And Billy talked about some of your players. Sounds like you've got a good amount of talent on your squad this year.
We can run. We got a lot of quickness for our classification, and that makes a big difference,
As you look down the road at your schedule, which games really jump out at you as the ones you think you'll be tested the greatest?
Well, probably the top 2 in our region going in should be Florence Christian and PD Academy.
And so those will be the ones that you've got to get by if you're going to have that special year, you feel like.
We're gonna do our best.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for joining us tonight, and congratulations once again. And thank Billy for us as well. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir. I sure will. Thank you.
Have a good
Bye.
weekend. All right. Thank you, David. There you go with your hot call tonight from Williamsburg Academy and Robert E. Lee. So has Coach gone? David, tell me what we were just talking about with the Williamsburg and Robert E. Lee. Is that 8-man or is that 11-man?
No, that's 11-man. That's 2A Skeeza.
Okay, very good. I just wanted to be sure on that. And they're really good, Williamsburg Academy.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to be one of the teams in 2A. Hilton Head Christian. He mentioned PD Academy. Hilton Head Christian is a state champion, and they got a lot of guys back. So, 2A Skeeza. I know a lot of people don't know about it, but it's pretty competitive. And Williamsburg will probably. This is a good win for them because usually Robert E. Lee kind of beats them up a little bit. So this is a good win for them to get off to a good start.
Coach Shelley just sounds like one of those good old country boys.
Oh, he is, man. He's been doing it forever. He's won state titles at Orangeburg Prep. You remember back when we first started doing this show, he was at Orangeburg Prep winning state titles every year.
Mm-hmm.
And then went over to Holly Hill Academy and won there. and now he's at Williamsburg and trying to win there. So yeah, I mean, I want to say he's got to have more than 30 years in.
He's won 9 state championships too.
Nine state titles.
9 state titles, and a lot of them were at Orangeburg Prep back in the 80s and 90s. You know, we used to have Steve Wanamaker call that thing in.
Yep.
The Orangeburg Prep Indians winning another championship, and Don just keeps doing it.
All right, hang on, David. We got the top of the hour break, and we'll be back here on the High School Scoreboard.
Weekdays from 7 to 9 on The Point. It's Kev and Brian in the morning. The news, the traffic 4 times an hour, and your daily forecast. Topics to wake you up, topics to make you smile and laugh. Hope you'll join us.
The Point. The Point.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters. Officials in Louisiana are warning of dangerous conditions as Hurricane Ida makes its way toward the Gulf Coast this weekend. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards says people across the state need to make preparations for the rapid arrival of a powerful storm that could bring winds of over 140 miles an hour.
By nightfall tomorrow night, you need to be where you intend to ride out the storm, and you need to be postured as you would want to be as that storm approaches you. Make sure that you're paying attention to your family, to your pets, to elderly loved ones and neighbors.
In New Orleans, Mayor LaToya Cantrell called for voluntary evacuations. With the storm intensifying so much over a short period of time, she said it wasn't possible to order a mandatory evacuation, which generally calls for using both lanes of highway traffic to evacuate people from the city. A judge has blocked Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' order banning mask mandates. Ed Donahue reports.
DeSantis says if kids wear a mask in school, it should be their parents' decision.
Certain things really should be decided by the parents and not decided by the government.
A circuit judge ruled DeSantis overstepped his authority and agreed with a group of parents who claimed in a lawsuit the executive order is unconstitutional and cannot be enforced. 10 school boards in Florida voted to defy DeSantis and impose mask requirements with no parental opt-out. DeSantis has questioned the legitimacy of mask wearing.
It's actually harder to hear people when they're covered in the mask. So the idea that this doesn't affect learning is total nonsense.
His office says DeSantis will appeal. I'm Ed Donahue.
On Wall Street, the Dow by 242 points, the Nasdaq rose 183, the S&P 500 advancing 39. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Involves financial risk and is not suitable for all investors. Past results do not guarantee future performance.
Traders, listen up. As life in America starts to return to normal, are you looking for the best trading opportunities? With the current real estate market, the rise of crypto, and the volatility of tech stocks, it's virtually impossible to guess what will happen next. With Vantage Point, you don't have to. Text the word money to 813-813 to learn how our technology analyzes over 1 million data points per day. Text the word money to 813-813 so you can learn how to predict market trends up to 3 days in advance with incredible accuracy. Whether you're trading stocks, options, Forex, futures, or crypto, Vantage Point's patented artificial intelligence can give you a massive edge. Text money to 813-813 to find out how to maximize your gains. Text the word money to 813-813 to learn how to use the volatility to your advantage. Don't wait. Text the word money to 813-813 now.
By texting in, you consent to receive calls, voice, and text messages using automated technology regarding offers by or on behalf of Vantage Point.
The Metropolitan Correctional Center in Lower Manhattan will be closed.
The facility where Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide will be closed, at least temporarily, to address issues that have long plagued the facility, including lax security and crumbling infrastructure. The jail currently has 233 inmates, down from a normal population of 600 or more. Most expected to be transferred to a federal jail in Brooklyn. Inmates have complained in recent years that the jail was infested with mice, rats, and roaches, and that multiple inmates were forced to share dirty sinks and toilets. John Scott reporting.
Maryland's highest court will reconsider the punishment of Lee Boyd Malvo. He's serving life without parole for the sniper attacks that terrorized the Washington, D.C. region in 2002. Malvo was 17 when he went on a killing spree with John Allen Muhammad that killed 10 people and wounded 3. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters in Washington.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
I'm Kimberly Cockrell from Lexington. I work closely now with MAD South Carolina. In 1993, my best friend Nancy was killed in a drunk driving crash. MAD was there for me and will be there for you if you've been affected by a drunk or drugged crash.
Friends, this is Kevin Cohen. If you've been impacted by one of these tragedies, let MAD help you. Online, it's mad.org or call them 748-7333. That's 748-7333 for MAD.
Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh. Now you get this.
This is the Founders Federal High School Football Scoreboard on the Sports Talk Media Network. Coming up, scores and reports from across the state and analysis from David Shelton. The Scoreboard is brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Relax, you're with Founders. Now your host for the High School Scoreboard, Phil Kornblut.
Okay, we are back on the High School Football Scoreboard. It is week number 1, though it's week number 2, but it's week number 1 of the high school league schedule across the state of South Carolina. And we're going over all the scores and getting more reports in for you. Phil Kornblut, David Shelton, and Pat Daniel here on this Friday night. Me and Pat are at the studio here in Columbia, and David is down in the Low Country area where he runs about covering the high school scene down there for the High School Sports Report and for the Charleston Post and Courier. More with David coming up in just a moment, and more scores coming up in just a moment. However, we have waiting to give us an update, Garrett Mitchell, who was covering Woodruff and Hillcrest tonight in the Upstate. And Garrett, what you got for us? Appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely, Phil. Look forward to it every Friday. And Woodruff Hillcrest wrapped up just a little bit ago over at Chandler Stadium in Simpsonville, and a little bit of a rough night for the Wolverines against the 5A Rams. Hillcrest came away a winner, 41-24.
Wow. All right. Give us a few details.
Well, I tell you what, Hillcrest is, they're a program, of course, that won the state title in 2014, and they've been searching for that consistency ever since then. And they've got a good team this year. They're a young team, but they're very talented. And they lean very heavily, Phil, on their offensive line, which averages about 275 across the board. And they have a really big, strong running back, young man, last name is Coldren. And this young man had quite the night tonight. He scored 3 touchdowns. And I haven't added up my numbers yet, but I would venture to say over 200 yards rushing. And so he was a big factor in their offense that helped them get out to a lead early. 21-3 was the score at halftime.
Mm-hmm.
Avery McFadden, a young sophomore wide receiver, a slot guy for them, had a big night as well and was the beneficiary of Bennett Judy, the junior quarterback. But then Woodruff did get things going in the second half. The offense came to life a little bit. Woodruff scored 3 touchdowns after halftime as Carson Tucker connected on touchdown passes to Anthony Graybill, who is a junior. He's actually getting some interest from Wake Forest as a defensive back, but Graybill with over 100 yards receiving tonight. And Matthias Dial, the big 6'4" target, with another touchdown catch, his 4th in 2 games. And a rushing touchdown from DeMarion Elmore capped the scoring. But by that point, Hillcrest had a nice lead, and they were really just keeping the Wolverines at arm's reach. So, it's a quality 5A opponent, and if you're Woodruff, you've got to take stock in the fact that you played hard and you whitewashed this one, and you move on to next week, and you've got the number 1 ranked 1A team coming into Farner Stadium in Southside Christian. So it's a short memory, and you have to have a quick turnaround.
Oh, there's no question. Hey, we thank you very much for the update. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
Sounds great, Phil. Have a good one.
Thank you. Garrett Mitchell, story on Woodruff and Hillcrest tonight from the Upstate. Some low country scores to pass along. Philip Simmons over Waccamaw, 36-14. Timberland, 30. St. John's, 12. North Charleston, 42. Military Magnet, 6. Pinewood Prep, 43. Academic Magnet, 7. Porter Gaud, 46. Burke, 22. First Baptist, 48. Cardinal Newman, 25. Carolina Academy, 41. Northwood, 8. Buford Academy, 42. St. John's Christian, 33. Hilton Head Prep 6, Colleton Prep nothing. Hilton Head Christian 52, Dorchester Academy 21. Also, Ashley Ridge over Bishop England 20-3. Cane Bay beat Orangeburg Wilkinson 42-14. Fort Dorchester over Carolina Forest 58-26. Somerville went up to Gaffney and lost 35-7. Goose Creek went to Blythewood and lost 22-7. Gray Collegiate beat Oceanside Collegiate 33-22. There you go with that. So, David, let's talk about Fort D and the big win, the big offense tonight, 58-26. And we always know that they have offensive talent running through that program yearly. How good is the offense overall this season in terms of the individual talent?
Well, they actually, they performed really good tonight, better than I thought they would actually, because they really, being first game and everything, but they got a quarterback, Zoltan Osborne, can flat out play, and really good thrower. He's got really good receivers, big 6'6" tight end that they can line up a tight end or split him out wide, and he's really hard to cover. Their running game really produced tonight, and I was wondering about their running game because their offensive line was kind of banged up, and they don't have any running backs that were returners. They had a big guy last year that kind of did most of the work, but they ran the football pretty well tonight. I don't know the whole numbers, but I know they racked up some yards and did a pretty good. That's a pretty good win because Carolina Forest is a good 5A football team.
Yep. All right, let's go to the upstate, David. And Burns has beaten Chapman tonight, 37-27. So what do you think about that? What does it tell you about Burns and Chapman this early in the season?
Well, I think they're both really good teams. I think Burns is, they got a lot of guys back. They were pretty young last year. Not the typical Burns team, but they're a lot of veterans this year, even though there's some underclassmen they played. And, and I think Chapman was my pick to win the upper state in 3A. And I think they're really going to be one of those teams. That's a tough opponent for a 3A team to play Burns. But they battled. That game was really close there for a long time. It kind of got away at the end, but that was a really close game there for a while.
Yeah. So, there's been a lot of musical chairs at quarterback up in the upstate among like Gaffney and Blue Ridge and Burns and Spartanburg, right? We've seen a lot of quarterbacks moving around. So at Burns right now, who is leading the way?
Oh, if you hadn't asked me, I could have told you. I just wrote about him earlier this week. I cannot remember the kid's name, but I think he's a junior, and he played last year as a sophomore. Hopefully somebody's listening. They can give us his name. I cannot remember the name. I'm drawing a total blank.
That's okay. I'll go look up your story and then remind you. How about that?
Yeah, go do that.
All right. I'm sure he's a good player, but yeah, there's been a lot of musical chairs at quarterback. Speaking of quarterback, Jaden Davis, the 2024 hotshot quarterback at Catawba Ridge, had a big game in a season opening win last week. Obviously had a big game tonight. We'll see if we can get some details. 35-14, Catawba Ridge beat Nation Ford.
Yeah, Catawba Ridge is for real. They're the real deal, and Jaden Davis is the real deal. I got a chance to look a little bit of film on him on their Huddle account earlier this week. Yeah, I think it was yesterday or Wednesday, and he's pretty special. He's going to be a really good player. Kind of reminds me of DeCarrion Joyner when DeCarrion was a young guy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very athletic. One of the recruiting services is ranking him the number one player in the country in the class of 2024. Is that spot on, you think, or maybe a little too much?
I'm not ready. I don't get into that too much because there's a lot of kids in the country.
Yeah.
So to do it that early, I'm kind of like you, and you start throwing that on guys that young, that's a little much. But certainly he's very good. I mean, he's going to be one of the top recruits at the quarterback position in the country and definitely in this state. But, man, number one is so subjective. It depends on what you're looking for, I guess.
Yeah. And, of course, it'll change. A lot will change. Wait and see who Alabama signs, or get the commitment from. That tends to influence those rankings quite a bit. But I tell you, one they got right, of course, was right here in South Carolina a few years ago. I don't think anybody would disagree. Jadeveon Clowney was the best overall player in the country that year.
Yeah, he was pretty good.
I mean, not only was he a great defensive player, he was a darn good running back, and he had that just unique combination of great size and strength and speed you don't always get. Chester beat Fort Mill 41-0. Daniel over Easley 54-21. Thomas Sumter over the Kings 49-7. Chapin beat Mid Carolina 46-26. Berea topped Liberty 47-13. Branchville 35, Calhoun Falls nothing. We mentioned Greenville High over Wade Hampton 70-7. Lawrence Manning beat Heathwood Hall 22-9. Cane Bay over Orangeburg Wilkinson 42-14. Powdersville knocked off Belton Honeypath 34-19. Saluda 43, Ridge Spring Lynetta 6, Hillcrest 41, Woodruff 24, as you just heard. Broome 48, Chesney 41. And we haven't talked about this one, David, but let's touch on this one. Northwestern beat Rock Hill 48-14. So another big statement win up in that great football city by the Trojans.
Yeah, they're coming off that loss to South Point last week, the high-scoring game. They lost by a touchdown, and then they put up 48 tonight. They're an offensive juggernaut. Northwestern's got some weapons on offense. Will Madison's their quarterback. Paige Wofford is an offensive kind of guy as the head coach. They're going to be really good. That game last week could have went either way with South Point, and you know, Northwestern loves winning those city games.
Oh, no question about it. Okay, we'll hit a break here on the high school football scoreboard. We've got more guys coming up. Ian Guerin with details on Carolina Forest and Fort Dorchester. Kevin Ireland with the story on Sumter's shutout loss tonight at AC Flora. Got those guys coming up. We'll go back over the scoreboard as well, get more of the breakdown from David Shelton, too. We continue to roll along on this Friday night across the state here on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Relax on and off the field with Founders Federal Credit Union. With services like Founders Online and the Founders app, you'll enjoy all the perks of a big bank with local personalized service. If you're looking for low rates, look to Founders. Not a member? Joining Founders Federal Credit Union is easy. Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 office locations to see if you qualify for membership. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
In Columbia, South Carolina, game days are our specialty. Whether you're watching the game from inside the stadium or from the big screen at your favorite local spot, the energy remains the same. Craft the perfect fall Saturday in a city where there is plenty of action on and off the field. From tubing and kayaking to Soda City to rooftop restaurants and plenty barbecue. We're ready when you are. Plan your weekend at experiencecolumbiasc.com.
Hi, this is Phil Kornblut, and for me, high school football Friday nights in the Palmetto State are electric. And I want to know how all the teams in the state are doing. For that, I turn to scfootballstats.com. I've used scfootballstats.com for years as a resource, so I have all the scores and schedules right at my fingertips. And so can you. Never hunt for scores, standings, or rankings again. scfootballstats.com delivers weekly updates right to your inbox. Everything from your favorite teams, including Skeeza, all in one place. Fan subscriptions are just $25 for a full season of access. Head over to scfootballstats.com right now for a free trial. That's scfootballstats.com.
Your home is where your memories live. It's where you laugh and where you love. We understand the importance of the valuables under your roof, tangible and intangible alike. So no matter what's around the corner, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for nearly 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at scfbns.com.
Call Buddy Bridges in Lawrence County at 864-923-2174, covering Lawrence, Clinton, Joanna, and the shores of Lake Greenwood.
All right, keeping it rolling on the high school football scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Phil Kornblut and Pat Daniel here in Columbia, and David Shelton down in the Low Country. Let's go back out to guys working games tonight as we go to Ian Guerin. And let me pull Ian up here. All right, Ian Guerin, Prep Red Zone, the new website for Ian and his guys in the Horry County area, and also myori.com. I think I've got everything right, don't I, Ian?
You are darn close, Corn. It's myorinews.com. Obviously, that's the Myrtle Beach Herald newspaper group that I've been with for a few years, and then also Prep Red Zone South Carolina. It's a statewide, we call it player-based reporting. If we go to a game, we're gonna tell you the highlights as many of those kids playing as we can. It's we're launched in 31 some odd states, and the four of us here in South Carolina are kicking butt. Last year was kind of our dry run, and now we're going full bore with it. So we're having a lot of fun.
That's terrific. That's terrific. Congratulations on that, and thank you for joining in. So Carolina Forest went over to Fort Dorchester and ran into a pretty good club.
Yeah, Fort Dorchester's just loaded. I heard Shelton say something about a 6'6" tight end. I mean, I didn't even notice a 6'6" tight end tonight because they've got four different receivers who all had pretty good games. Marion Mitchell and they've got this guy Trey Ryan who plays in the slot who might be 5'8", but he had a couple 30-yard receptions tonight. One of them went for a touchdown. They look. You got Zoltan Osborne throwing the football to people. You're going to have some success. The kid has. I hate comparing guys to NFL players, but he's got that. That little bit of that Patrick Mahomes in him. He'll turn, pivot 180 degrees and sidearm it. To a guy and hit him in stride. It's really impressive for a junior to be able to do some of those things very effortlessly, can throw 40 yards downfield on the post routes, the fly routes, things like that. It's, he had a heck of a game. He threw for 380. He only had 2 touchdowns, but that's because when they would get close, they'd hand the ball off. They had one guy, Zion Reynolds, who had 4 touchdowns in his first 4 carries or first 5 carries. So, they had a defensive end that lined up at fullback and ran in a touchdown too. So this is just a very high-powered offense. Carolina Forest was down a couple guys tonight. One guy, I think he stepped on a seashell at the beach, and so he was out. They had another guy that got kicked off the team a couple days ago, and they had another player who was hurt as well. So they've kind of avoided some of those COVID quarantine issues that have really smacked Horry County in the face. So far, 7 of our 9 teams have, succumbed to what I would call a significant quarantine situation. Carolina and Forest and Aner are the only 2 that haven't. So, I think if they have those guys, maybe it's a little bit closer. But look, 4D is just loaded. They're the second best team in Class 5A. There's not a doubt in my mind that that's exactly where they should be right now.
That was a new one on me, and I guess it can only happen along the coast. Stepping on a seashell to obviously must have caused a significant cut and forced the young man to miss the game.
Yeah, I mean, he had to have some stitches put in his foot, and look, I took my son to the beach, back in April, and he stepped on a shark tooth.
Ooh.
We had to pull it out of his foot. So, those are things that happen when you live along the coast of South Carolina. You just kind of get used to it, I guess.
Sacrifice, man. It's called just sacrificing for living along the coast. So,
yes, sir.
Myrtle Beach High School, when might we see them in action?
Yeah, I mean, it's right now, it's every day. And anybody who's followed my Twitter account knows that every day is something different. Somebody is, getting knocked out. A team as a whole can't play. Look, yesterday afternoon, we were told that Conway was still a go. They had, a handful of players that were out, including, a couple starting offensive linemen, but they were going to go ahead and play. By 7:45 this morning, they had a huge bull rush of contacts tracing, exposures, things like that. A lot of times they don't get into details because they're not allowed to, and I understand that. But what I was told was that the phone call that they got this morning was wide scale, and that there was no way that they could suit up and play a varsity football game. They canceled the game, not even 12 hours out. We've had one of those, every other day, it seems like, in Horry County. And I know other pockets of the state are getting hit too. But like I said before, 7 of our 9 teams have already had a, significant quarantine situation. We've already had mass game cancellations and reschedulings. And heck, Carolina Forest, even after the game tonight, they don't know who they're playing next week because they're supposed to play Conway, and they're not going to be told until Monday whether or not that game can officially happen. So they're moving forward, kind of with a plan B, schedule in place. And I think that's what a lot of parts of the state are going to be doing all throughout the year.
While I've got you on the phone, we've got David Shelton as well. So I'll ask the two of you. David, I'll start with you, and then Ian, you can jump in. But, Scott Early, head coach at Westside, director of the Touchstone Energy Bowl North-South All-Star Game, had some pretty strong words earlier this week for the high school league and officials running everything, saying that, this season needs to be called off. I'm paraphrasing here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Something along the lines of the season needs to be called off now because this is just chaotic for everybody. David, what do you know about what he said? What do you think about what he said?
Well, Ian knows better what he said because Ian wrote the story. But
okay,
I read some of the quotes and calling off the season now maybe a little. He didn't call off the North-South game yet. So as long as if we're gonna call off the season, we got to call off everything. I don't see that right yet, but I do think there needs to be a pause. But I'm the one that said there should have been a pause on August the 6th before school started. Now that school's in, you're kind of in some dire straits now. So he may be right. If people don't start getting vaccinated, we won't have a season. There won't be an all-star game. There won't be a state championship. Some people need to wake up. And I'm talking about parents, athletes, and coaches and administrators, not just one group. Everybody needs to wake up pretty quick or it's going to be gone.
Ian, sorry, I'd heard that. I've been traveling with our Palmetto Pigskin tour all week. I don't get to read as much as I normally do. I just heard, I think Chris on our show was mentioning something about it. Sorry, I didn't apply the story to you. So you tell us more.
Yeah, and I will clarify. Scott is, look, anybody that's dealt with Scott knows that he's a fiery guy. And I will clarify, though, he never said that the high school league should call off the season. Now, he and a number of others have said that it's time for a pause. I think that they've seen what's happened the first couple weeks of the season and with trying to do in-person schooling. And as Shelton can attest, we have text message threads and Twitter DMs between the two of us that have said that, a pause was probably the right thing just to prevent some of this hour-to-hour, kind of change-ups. Now, what Scott did say was that if families are not going to make it a priority to get people vaccinated, to lower the quarantine rate, to lower the quarantine time frame, that this is what we're going to be dealing with for probably the duration of the season. And that's where he was kind of getting impassioned about the whole thing. And I'm talking about Scott here, is that, he has seen his team very much at times wrecked because of exposures and quarantines and positive tests and everything else. Sometimes all it is just a large number of football players in a math class who get an exposure and they all have to sit out. But when you start talking about positive tests within a team because people are not vaccinated and everything else, and I don't ever pretend to be a doctor, but when doctors tell me that vaccinations are the right thing to do and that they lower the quarantine rate, why aren't we listening? And that's what Scott was getting at as well. And I know that the rumor mill was flying after that story came out because of some of the things that him and Mickey Wilson both said. But right now, and I can tell you as the media director for the North-South football game, those discussions about canceling that game are not there yet. Will they be in 2 months if things look like they are now? Who knows? I'm not in charge. My job is to kind of get the word out about North-South. And I can tell you right now that after extensive conversations with Scott, that's not on the table right now.
All right, Ian, thank you so much, man. Great work. Tell everybody one more time the website and the Twitter to hit up.
Yeah, Prep Red Zone South Carolina, prepredzone.com/South Carolina. myworrynews.com for all the stuff that I do with the Herald and Waccamaw publishers. And then the Twitter account is just iGuerin, IGUERIN.
We thank you, my friend. Talk to you next week.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. Yeah, David, I was just sitting here thinking about over all the years, it's gotten where we can't get through a high school football season without something. 2 years in a row of COVID. Yeah. Sometimes it's flooding. Sometimes it's hurricanes. Yeah. We just can't get through it.
It's the sign of the times. And to piggyback off what Ian said, the part that I did read about what Scott said, and when you said that he thought we should cancel the season, I was like, whoa, I didn't read that.
Yeah.
But you got a vaccine. The vaccine's got to take hold, and if that means you take 2 weeks off and try to have a vaccine crash course, get everybody vaccinated, line them up at the school, and that's what you do. Because if you don't, in a couple of weeks, it could be really bad.
All right, we'll be right back.
So what are you going to do with that latest stimulus check? What about that tax refund? Well, I've always said you should pay down some bills first, but then what about a reward for your household? What about finally calling Stone Interiors for those gorgeous new granite or marble countertops that you've heard me bragging about? Let me tell you, now is a great time to reach out to Stone Interiors for a backsplash, a full bathroom remodel. What about an outdoor kitchen? They do it all. Stone Interiors is local. For 20 years, they've had the best crews, the best selection of granite or marble, and they stand behind their work. And I know all of this from my own experience as I've been a customer of Stone Interiors myself. You'll love their process. They'll help you design your dream project. You can visit the showroom and select from a huge selection of granite. Their expert fabricators will use state-of-the-art machinery to get your project ready, and then it's time for the installation. When it's all done, you'll love their work and your home's value will go up. Learn more online at stoneinteriors.com or call them at 461-8950 and tell them Kev sent you from over at the Point. You'll love Stone Interiors.
With SRN News, I'm Ron DeRostra. A strike acting on President Biden's vow to retaliate for yesterday's suicide attack that killed 12 U.S. Marines and a Navy corpsman. A drone strike today targeted an IS planner in the eastern province of Nangarhar. A U.S. Central Command statement said initial indications were that the target was killed. Hurricane Ida battling toward the Louisiana coast. New Orleans Mayor LaToya Cantrell ordering a mandatory evacuation for a small area of the city outside the levee system, but said it wasn't possible to do so for the entire city. Ida could grow to an extremely dangerous Category 4 storm, according to forecasters, with top winds of 140 miles an hour when it starts to near the U.S. coast late Sunday. Governor John Bel Edwards has declared a state of emergency for Louisiana. This is SRN News.
Oh, man, storm's coming. I need to be prepared. Where's my phone? Oh, there it is. All right, here's the Dominion Energy app with Face ID, and I am ready to go. That's right, folks. If those South Carolina storms hit, the new Dominion Energy mobile app is a must-have. So easy to use and convenient to have around. It's not just for power outages. With this app, you have instant access to all of your energy usage, too. Pretty cool stuff. Take it from me. Be prepared this season and download it today. Have you walked around your own home lately? I mean, it is your most valuable financial asset. Have you spotted any cracks in the home's foundation? Now, if you have, don't panic. You call TerraTech instead. Why am I so comfy recommending TerraTech? Well, they check off all the boxes that matter to me. First, they're local. They're family-owned in the Midlands for more than 38 years. More than 10,000 homeowners, just like you and just like me, have trusted TerraTech to restore their homes. TerraTech combines their collective experience of over 150 years of professional service in the foundation repair industry, along with utilizing state-of-the-art products and solutions. TerraTech fixes foundations. They also repair or build retaining walls. They install French drains, and they offer free inspections and repair quotes. They stand by their work, and they can be trusted with protecting your home. And hey, if you don't want to take my word for it, they're also A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Find them online, TerraTechInc.com, or call TerraTech 791-8888.
Have you fallen behind on your taxes and might be facing IRS penalties? Have wage garnishments, levies, or liens? Have unfiled tax returns? You want someone local and qualified. Don't fall for those national spots. Meet with me, Teresa, at Capital City Professional Services, and let me help you through your tax maze. I can help with all your tax resolution issues. There are options to get you back on track. Call Capital City Professional Services, 400-8683. That's 400-8683.
The pandemic's reminded us we live in a sea of airborne germs that can assault us with every breath. Your nose is the body's first line of defense by helping filter out allergens, bacteria, and viruses before they reach your lungs. But like any air filter, the more clogged up it gets, the less it works. So how do you clean your nose? I'm Martin Hoke, and I didn't invent nasal irrigation. The neti pot's been around thousands of years. But I did invent Navage to make cleaning your nose easy. Navage uses powered suction to flush out mucus and germs that cause congestion, or worse, can make you sick. Over 2 million people use Navage to breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and feel healthier without drugs. Navage has over 70,000 online reviews averaging 4.7 stars because it works and it's easy to use. Go to Navage.com or find Navage at Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Now available with eucalyptus for a spa-like experience. Navage. Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
All right, welcome back. High School Football Scoreboard brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Let's go through our scoreboard across the state. Have David jump in here at particular times. So Blacksburg over Greenseed Floyd's 22-14. Broome 48, Chesney 41. Branchville 35, Calhoun Falls nothing. Burns 37, Chapman 27. Daniel beats easily 54-21. David, Daniel looks good again early, but good. They look good.
Oh, yeah, they're going to be good.
That's why he's the best in the business, folks. Dorman,
Yes,
33, Boiling Springs, nothing. Gaffney, 35, Somerville, 7. All right, Greenwood defeats Emerald, 35-7. What do you think of the Greenwood team?
I think they're going to be a playoff team, going to be a strong contender. I know Shell Dula was saying over the summer, maybe he's at the coaches clinic, that he felt like Greenwood was going to be really good. I mean, this was a team they should beat. Emerald's still kind of rebuilding, but it's a big rivalry game, and those could go either way. So they took care of business. They're 2-0.
Yep, Hillcrest beat Woodruff 41-24. Riverside top Man 14-7. Christchurch over Landrum 36-14. Clinton gets a 2-point win over Lawrence. This is a nice win for Clinton. I mean, Lawrence is a good team, and they win at 21-19. David, what's going on with Clinton?
Yeah, another backyard brawl rivalry type thing. It's always a big game. I remember back in the 90s and the 80s, Clinton Lawrence was a huge game. And you know, Corey Fountain's at Clinton, and I think it's his third year. Last year was kind of the COVID year thing, but I've heard that they were going to be pretty good this year. And to beat a Lawrence team, you know, that's another rivalry game. That's a good start for them.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Let's see. Where did we leave off? Berea over Liberty, 47-13. How about this? Malden beat Spartanburg 14-9. Now, a lot of people have been beating Spartanburg the last couple of years. They lost last week. But is this an indication? This Malden team's pretty good. Excellent defensive squad, especially in the secondary. This is a sign that maybe Spartanburg's getting a little bit better, playing a team like Malden this close. What did you make of this outcome?
Well, I mean, Spartanburg's still got a ways to go. I mean, they're not close to where that elite level that we're used to hearing Spartanburg be at. But the Malden team is pretty good. They got some good players, Lucas and Caldwell, and they do some good things offensively. So they're going to be, I wouldn't put them in the class of the top teams in 5A, but certainly in that second 10, after the top 10, they're in that second 10 and with a chance to move up.
Mm-hmm. All right. Pick up where I left off here. Let's see. Catawba Ridge over Nation Ford, 35-14. 96 over Ware Shoals, 48-6. Northwestern beat Rock Hill, 48-14. Pickens over Eastside tonight, 23-0. Powdersville 34, Belton Honeypath 19, Seneca 59, Palmetto 14. David Greenville put 70 on the board tonight. They had a big number last week, as I recall, too, 70-7. I don't know what Pro Franklin did, but he must be playing some good football for them here early in the season.
Yeah, he's a really good player, really dynamic quarterback. They've got a good tight end that's going to App State Sap. They run the football, they throw the football. They really got a very good defense. A lot of people look at their offense, they don't realize they play good defense. And I've been saying it since the summer. Greenville's that team that has got a chip on their shoulder. They missed the playoffs last year when they went to 2 teams and they lost the tiebreaker. They were one of the teams that I thought could make a run in 4A in the upper state. And I think that little chip on their shoulder, I think Greg Porter is going to have them focused every week, and they're going to be a tough out.
Greg Porter is a heck of a coach. He did it at Wade Hampton when everybody said it couldn't be done, and now he's doing it over at Greenville. What's his secret?
He did it at Hillcrest. You remember a couple of years ago, they beat Dutch Fork in the state championship game.
That's what I meant. I'm sorry. I said Wade Hampton. It should have been Hillcrest. That's what I meant. Yes.
When nobody thought that Hillcrest could beat Dutch Fork. Nobody, including me. And they went out and whipped Dutch Fork, whipped them good. And Greg is just he's not only a great X and O's guy, he's such a motivator. He knows how to treat kids. He's very good with kids. I thought when he went to Greenville that they were instantly going to win. I mean, they were pretty good when he got there. But, you can win a lot of games at Greenville and Hillcrest. You're a pretty darn good football coach. And it's not surprising to me whatsoever that Greenville is going to be good and that they were good last year under him.
All right, a few more scores. T.L. Hanna has beaten Wren tonight, 27-16. Good win for Hanna. Wren's off to an 0-2 start. Woodmont beat Southside 14-9. And let's see, Holy Innocents of Georgia 55, Pendleton 17. All right, let's go to the Midlands. We've got AC Flora over Sumter 13-0. Bamberg Earhart over Bluffton 27-0. Blythewood beats Goose Creek 22-7. What do you make of that Blythewood team beating this Goose Creek team? That's a good win for Blythewood, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, good win. Goose Creek's not at full strength, but they're a 5A program that's going to be very good at the end of the year. Blythewood needs all the success early they can get to kind of build on that as they get into that region. And they're 2-0. In fact, they're 2-0 this week because they played Fairfield on Monday. So a very good start for Jason's club over there.
All right. We've got Camden over Lugoff Elgin 50-0. C.A. Johnson over New Hope. Did you put the score in? Pat, C.A. Johnson 42, but I don't have a score for New Hope. Oh, 0. Okay. Let's put the 0 in there. There you go. Signify.
Why you didn't have a score?
C.A. Johnson wins over. Where is New Hope? I mean, I've heard of New Hope Church, but where is New Hope?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't know if they're from South Carolina. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Chapin beat Mid Carolina 46-26. Now Chapin has a young quarterback people are raving about. What do you know about him, and what do you think of this team?
Yeah, that Bradford kid, and they got really good skill people now. They've got a receiver going to App State Short. They got Galloway that's going to NC State as a running back. This sophomore quarterback. Bradford's a really good player. Got some big old offensive linemen. The question was going to be how they were going to be defensively, especially at linebacker. They lost some good linebackers. So, but that offense is going to be tough to stop. They're going to, granted now, they lost 2 games last year to Dutch Fork and River Bluff. So I don't know if they're ready to compete with those 2 yet, but they're certainly in a team that's going to be in the playoffs, I would think.
All right, continuing with the scores around the Midlands tonight that we have in. Let's see here. I did that one. I saw a Calhoun County Barnwell score. Barnwell beat Calhoun County. Just don't see the score on my sheet anymore. See if we can find that, Pat, because I know I had it on there. Chester beat Fort Mill 41-0. Columbia High over Pelion 26-24. Estill knocked off Denmark-Oler 36-30. Fairfield Central and Lancaster moved to Monday. We've got Gray Collegiate beating Oceanside. Now, David, this is a couple of heavyweight teams. I think you touched on it earlier. KZ Adams from Gray Collegiate, heck of a player. I'm sure he had a big role in the win tonight, 33-22 over Oceanside.
Yeah, that's another quality win. I mean, you look at where they've started. They beat Camden, and they beat Oceanside, a couple of 3A teams that a lot of people think are going to be playing at the lower state championship in November. So good start for them, and they're going to be, I know Abbeville is still the A, and they're still the A in AA, but Great Collegiate is going to challenge Abbeville this year in the upper state.
Great Falls over Eau Claire, 38-30. Edisto 43, Hunter Connor Tyler 6, Lower Richland 30, White Knoll 7, Strom Thurmond 44, Midland Valley 12. Speaking of the A, they went and beat Newberry tonight, David, 35-6.
Yeah, they just reload. I mean, they lost a lot of good players on that team, and offensively they're going to beat them. They're going to beat Abbeville. They'll probably score 30 points a game, but that defense is going to get after people. They're going to be flying around, and to hold Newberry to a touchdown is a pretty nice accomplishment. They're a good football team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're usually pretty tough, and this is Phil Strickland's last season, right? He's hanging it up after this season.
Yeah. Yes, he is. He is getting out of it.
Yep. All right, we've got Richland Northeast going to 2-0, beating Andrew Jackson 25-9. Ridgeview 29, North Augusta 14. River Bluff loses to Spring Valley 33-10. What do you make of those three teams right there from Richland District 2? Richland Northeast now 2-0, Spring Valley undefeated, and Ridgeview beating North Augusta 29-14. What do you think of those three?
Well, I think, what we heard Lou talk about it earlier, what Wilson's doing at Richland Northeast is really cool. I mean, they're not going to, challenge for a state championship, but they got 2 wins, and that might be as many wins as they've had in 7 or 8 years. But Spring Valley's really good on defense, really good quarterback. But Ridgeview, I'm telling you, man, they got some studs. They got some athletes. They're big up front. They're fast. They got a good quarterback. They have all the makings of a upper state contender for sure.
Okay, we'll come back from the break. We'll run across the PD Grand Strand scoreboard. Also hit up the Low Country and look over the Skeeza scores once again as we continue on the high school football scoreboard, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union. Week 1 of the high school football season. As far as the schedule is concerned, there's week 0. Now there's week 1. This is week 1, though they played last week. It's confusing. We've played for 2 weeks, but this is week 1. It's the new math here in the state of South Carolina. Well, it's the old math that's being used and confusing everybody. We'll be back. Hi, this is Phil Kornblut, and for me, high school football Friday nights in the Palmetto State are electric. And I want to know how all the teams in the state are doing. For that, I turn to scfootballstats.com. I've used scfootballstats.com for years as a resource, so I have all the scores and schedules right at my fingertips. And so can you. Never hunt for scores, standings, or rankings again. scfootballstats.com delivers weekly updates right to your inbox. Everything from your favorite teams, including Skeeza, all in one place. Fan subscriptions are just $25 for a full season of access. Head over to scfootballstats.com right now for a free trial. That's scfootballstats.com.
Save like a pro with Founders Federal Credit Union. Founders Loyalty Select account gives you the opportunity to grow your savings at our best rate yet. Fund your account through your favorite Loyalty Select product to get savings today. Not a member yet? Visit relaxjoinfounders.com or one of our more than 30 office locations to see if you qualify for membership. Services require credit evaluation. Terms and conditions apply. Founders Federal Credit Union is federally insured by NCUA.
If you are pregnant, DHEC and the CDC strongly recommend the COVID-19 vaccine. The dangers of the Delta variant, increased risk of severe illness and pregnancy complications are too great to ignore. Pregnant women with COVID-19 are at greater risk for hospitalization and for critical care, including ventilation and admission to the ICU. Pregnant women with COVID-19 are more likely to have major pregnancy complications. Visit scdheck.gov/vaxlocator to find a vaccine near you to protect your unborn baby and yourself.
If you're going to kick off the playoffs, why not do it big?
Green flags.
Like Crown Jewel event big. Like 2 races for the price of 1 big. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series and NASCAR Cup Series. 2 races, 1 epic Sunday. The playoffs begin at Darlington with the 72nd running of the Southern 500, September 4th through the 5th. Adult tickets start at $50, with kids starting at just $10. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com. South Carolina is just right.
All right, we continue to recap the scores around the state of South Carolina on this Friday night. Phil Kornblut and Pat Daniel here in Columbia. David Shelton down in the Low Country tonight. We go to the PD Grand Strand, and Lakeview beat Scotts Branch 28-12. Not a lot of games. David, I mean, of course, maybe there's some road games. We put the home team in on the sheet when we put it in by the regions. But, I mean, is the PD area, Grand Strand area, PD Grand Strand, like the area of the state that's being hit the hardest by COVID cancellations, in your opinion?
I would definitely say Horry County. I would say the Grand Strand is probably leading the way. There have been some in the Florence area, but not that I recall an abundance of postponement or cancellations. But Horry County, as you heard Ian say earlier, seven of their 9 schools have been in quarantine already.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a problem.
Yeah, it certainly is. Certainly is. All right. PD Academy beat McBee tonight, 42-16. That was a game that actually did get played tonight. McBee was supposed to play Chesterfield, I think, and that one got canceled. So they played PD Academy and got beat by them, 42-16. We mentioned Lakeview beat Scotts Branch, 28-12. South Florence over Manning, 65-0. David, what do you think of the quarterback at South Florence who's committed to Virginia?
He's a really good athlete, really, really dynamic player, can run, can really throw it. He's a guy this is his 3rd year starting. He was a freshman starter, really kind of committed really early. He's going to get some other looks, but not that Virginia's a bad choice, but right. I'm just saying he would have plenty of options because he's a 6'2" kid that can throw it and can run it. He's a real winner. I mean, I look a lot of film on Huddle of some of these top players, and he's got what it takes. I mean, he's a really good player, and they're kind of rebuilding under Coach Marlowe, and they've got some good skill people. But man, when you have a quarterback like that, you can win a lot of games you're not supposed to win, but they'll be tested. I mean, they'll be tested in that region with the Myrtle Beaches and North Myrtle Beaches and Hartsville and people like that.
Yeah.
But again, you got a quarterback, man. When you got a trigger man, you can win a lot of games.
Marion beat Timminsville 54-14. So, it looks like Marion's picked up where they left off last year when they made it to the state championship.
Yeah, I mean, they played 2 games they should have won. They were favored to win both, but you're right. I mean, I think their confidence level is very high. 2A lower state, why not them? It'll be a couple of teams, but really the power is in the upper state with Gray Collegian and Abbeville and people like that.
All right. We've had West Florence beat Sherrall tonight, 35-14. And that's all we have in North Myrtle. Did North Myrtle and Loris actually get to play tonight? Do you know?
I don't think so.
Yeah. C.E. Murray, Lee County, Ridgeland, Hardyville, Kingstree. Ridgeland, Hardyville. Now, did they shut down totally, or are they still trying to play?
No. Allendale Fairfax shut down totally. Last year, Ridgeland, Hardyville shut down totally, but they're trying to play this year.
Okay. AF is shut down this year so far.
Yeah, they just did it like yesterday, I think.
Oh, okay.
They shut down the schools and everything.
Okay. All right, to the Low Country. Academic Magnet beat Pinewood Prep 43-7. Ashley Ridge over Bishop England, 20-3. Thomas Hayward beat Battery Creek, 44-3. Porter Gal topped Burke, 46-22. Kane Bay over Orangeburg Wilkinson, 42-14. Fort Dorchester over Carolina Forest, 58-26. North Charleston beat Military Magnet, 42-6. Philip Simmons over Waccamaw, 36-14. Timberland down St. John's, 30-12. And Wando topped James Island, the game you're at, David, 24-9. So besides that game, anything else kind of jump out at you from those final scores there?
Yeah, not much. I mean, it pretty much went according to plan, so to speak. No big upsets. I think Somerville had a shot to stay in it with Gaffney there and had a field goal blocked, and it got away from them in the second half. But Porter Gal, we haven't done Skeezy yet, but they're off to a 2-0 start. So, and I think First Baptist lost to Cardinal Newman tonight. So First Baptist will be 0-2. And we're not used to saying that around here for sure.
Mm-hmm. Really? By the way, that North Myrtle Beach at Loris game has been moved to Saturday.
Okay, tomorrow, yeah.
Tomorrow, yeah. They've moved that to Saturday. Just checking that out on Ian's site, as a matter of fact. So we'll put that down as a Saturday game. Tell you what, it's never been more difficult to keep up with a high school football schedule than it is this year, I'm telling you. And we go to your Skeeza scores. Skeeza, please ya. Buford Academy beat St. John's Christian, 42-33. Hammond over Ben Lippen, 58-7. First Baptist beat Cardinal Newman, 48-25. Carolina Academy, 41. Northwood Academy, 8. Cathedral Academy, 52. Newberry Academy, nothing. Hilton Head Prep over Colleton Prep, 6-0. Florence Christian, 39. Dillon Christian, 12. Calhoun Academy, 34. Greenwood Christian, 7. Lawrence Manning, 22. Heathwood Hall, 9. Hilton Head Christian, 52. Dorchester Academy, 21. Holly Hill Academy, 62. Lawrence Academy, nothing. Pinewood Prep, 43. Charleston Math and Science, 7. Richard Wynn, 54. Conway Christian, 18. Williamsburg Academy, we talked about this earlier, over Robert E. Lee, 55-21. St. Andrews, 27. Bethesda, 20. Thomas Sumter, 49. The King, 7. And Trinity Burns, 40. Wilson Hall, 27. What do you take away from those scores, David, besides having already talked about Williamsburg?
Well, I actually misspoke that. I heard that Cardinal Newman beat First Baptist, but if First Baptist came back and won that game, that's a huge win for them because they won't be 0-2. But I know at one point they were down by 19 points or so. So that's a good win for them, but everything else was kind of status quo.
Yeah, I'll double check that. That's the score we have down now. And look, we can commit human error sometimes and get a score wrong. It has happened a time or two over the years, hasn't it?
Yeah, I remember we used to get called. We'd get a score, and I'd always say, "Hold that score before we check it."
Yeah, that's right. Let me check that out.
And then we were right. We call somebody and they go, "Oh no, that wasn't the score." And upsets do happen, but sometimes, if you give me a score that Bethune-Bowman beat Dorman, I'm gonna call and check on that one.
Well, let me check the state newspaper real quick. They'll have that score. If you'll bear with me, see what we got here on their website. This is the way, 20 years ago, we couldn't do this at our fingertips, but now we can. Let's see. Cardinal Newman. No, they've got First Baptist winning 48-25. This is the state newspaper.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they were down 19-0, so they obviously got hot.
Yes, they did. A fourth quarter score, seeing one here. Gilbert, 55-29 over Aiken. So, that was, I guess, practically over, 55-29. Boy, Gilbert good once again, David.
Yeah, their quarterback transferred out and went to Irmo, and that kind of hurt them. I really thought they could be really, really good. But Chad Leapart's a very good coach. He's got a good program right now. They're going to be okay. But, with Whiteside going to Irmo, we were kind of wondering. But they're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm. All right. Listen, if the schedule holds together for next week, anything in particular that you'll be looking forward to next week?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to Dorman at Fort Dorchester. I think that's that's a real measuring stick for both schools. You know, Dorman coming off of a loss last week and got a win. And then tonight, it was a very impressive win. And then Fort Dorchester, very impressive over Carolina Forest. You know, if these are two of the better, you know, say top 5 or 6 teams in 5A, it's going to be a classic matchup for sure.
And I feel like you will be there.
I certainly hope I am.
Okay. David, thank you as always. Yeoman's work tonight. We always appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week. Take care.
Okay, man. Y'all take care.
Thank you. And you can read David's stuff, of course, in the High School Sports Report and also at the Charleston Post and Courier. Make sure you do so. Pat Daniel, thank you. Another long Friday night has come to an end, but it has been a pleasure to bring you all the high school scores from across the state. And thanks to all the reporters who joined in with us as well tonight. Have a great weekend, everybody. And we'll see you Monday night right back here on Sports Talk and next Friday on the Scoreboard.
The only afternoon local talk radio in Columbia is the Afternoon Drive with Kev. It's all about you. It's your phone calls. It's my challenging topics. All the news, traffic, and weather weekdays, 4 p.m.